This video is going to cover my 3 pillars to fat loss and weight management. It will cover diet, exercise, and contributing lifestyle factors. With such a large percentage of the population falling into either the obese or overweight category, it is more important now than ever that people are educated on how to manage their body composition healthily. Losing fat can really be simplified to burning more calories than you are consuming on a consistent basis. However, there are no shortage of approaches to achieving this outcome. So admittedly, it can be pretty difficult to know where to start and how to progress. Often, it's only through experimentation that we can truly find what works best for us. Fat loss and weight management habits should be something that you can implement as lifelong practices. Practices such as calorie counting, clean eating, and intermittent fasting are popular examples of a lifestyle change that can address this issue. The other side of the fat loss equation is exercise. Building a manageable exercise routine is all about finding activities that you enjoy and will commit to doing on a consistent enough basis to start to cause change. The final area of focus should be on lifestyle factors such as sleep, rest, and recovery. Sleep is one of the most crucial aspects of health and longevity, and the data and findings around those who are not getting enough sleep is pretty grim. From increasing your likelihood of developing a chronic disease to severely limiting recovery, reducing cognitive function, and destroying your mental health, it's bad news all round for those who are not getting enough sleep. In 2018, it was established that around 2/3 of the population in Australia are either overweight or obese. The numbers are similar in many Western countries, and the issue is starting to affect young and vulnerable populations who are entirely dependent on the adults taking care of them to get a good, healthy start to life. The sheer abundance of food choices has resulted in far less people going hungry in our country. The dark side to this is that now it's causing issues on the opposite end of the spectrum, where we now have people that are eating themselves to an early grave and drastically reducing their quality of life throughout their lifespan. Having talked to a lot of people who are struggling with their weight, it is clear that the vast majority are fully aware of the health concerns associated with being overweight. Health issues such as diabetes, cardiac disease, and increasing your risk in all-cause mortality are evidently not strong enough motivators to self-correct the issue. Many seem to have developed a compulsive addiction toward consuming food. Admittedly, when food was a scarce resource, this would have been a great survival adaptation. However, now we have such an abundance of calorie-dense, highly palatable foods available on every corner, and the means to live longer than we ever have before, overconsumption is becoming a detriment to quality of life, health, and lifespan. It's not dissimilar to other self-harming behaviours, such as someone who's addicted to smoking and is fully aware that it's not a healthy habit, but continues to indulge anyway. With extremely palatable foods being available on almost every corner, it is no wonder that this addiction cycle can be extremely hard to break. It can definitely feel like the odds are stacked against you, but with our younger generations now suffering the consequences of their elders' poor diet choices, it has become urgent that we tackle this issue as a society. One of the best ways to kickstart this process is by being a pillar to others and showing them that it is entirely possible to change and make better choices on an individual level. This has the added benefit of developing discipline, integrity, and character that will cause a cascade of other positive life changes. As someone who has a lot of experience with breaking unhealthy habits and addictions, I can break down and simplify the process that I use to course correct before things get too out of hand. In the prime of my tennis days, I sliced my foot on a rock in the middle of nowhere in outback Australia. By the time I was able to make it to hospital, they told me they'd have to reopen the wound and cut away everything that had healed if they were going to stitch it up. For whatever reason, I didn't like the sound of this, and I was stubborn and decided to let it heal on its own. Long story short, of course the wound got infected and took nearly 6 months to fully heal. Because I could no longer play tennis, I turned to food for comfort. This quickly cascaded into eating fast food multiple times a day. On top of this, the lack of exercise and physical activity meant that my mental health was quickly going down the drain. By the time I was healed up and ready to make a return to tennis, I'd done enough damage that my 70-year-old coach told me that I had a new spare tire around my waist. While he was well out of his physical prime, but still representing an impressive six-pack for his age. Admittedly, this hurt, but I'm kinda glad it did, because for the first time, I became conscious and aware that instead of focusing on what I could have done, like eating healthy, light exercise sessions, upper body training sessions, I was too busy being focused on what I couldn't do, which absolutely shattered me mentally and quickly led to a cascade of negative choices. The first step to lasting weight loss is understanding that it's a process, and 2 steps forward with 1 step backwards is still progress. If you fuck up, sit with it for a minute, feel the pain and disappointment, and then get right back on track. Don't use it as an excuse to slip back into old habits that only serve to reduce your quality of life. The biggest difference between the people that are constantly failing to lose weight and those that are succeeding is consistency. This is true for any long-term goal. Consistency is the deciding factor in how successful you are likely to be. Both parties will make mistakes along the road. However, the successful person will rebound from a mistake much quicker, while the person who seems to never make lasting progress will use a small setback as an excuse to fall back into old habits and stay stuck there. That is why developing consistency is such an important part of making progress, as results compound over time. This goes both ways. Someone who is overweight has been doing the wrong things for a long time and has a lot of work to put in to get the needle going back in the other direction. While someone in great shape has likely been doing the right things for a long time and built momentum in a positive direction, making it seem effortless and easy to continue down this path. Addictions are like weeds. The longer they are left unchecked, the deeper their roots grow and spread, making them harder and harder to pull out. Perfection is not what we are looking for and is arguably impossible. So always keep in mind that every journey has its ups and downs. So in the beginning, just focus on the process and getting more ups in the tally than downs. The hardest part of this whole process is getting started. It has been shown that those with a plan are far more likely to succeed than those without. So the first step should always be planning an actionable approach to weight loss. A great place to start is by tracking calories with any of the apps available today, such as MyFitnessPal. The reason this is a good place for beginners to start is because it gives you a good idea of the difference in calories between a home-cooked meal and a highly palatable fast food meal. The difference can truly be astounding, and having this awareness is important so that you can start to understand where the majority of your excess weight is coming from. Once you've developed a healthy awareness around how many calories are in the meals you're eating, you can then start the elimination process by slowly reducing or limiting the amount of calorie-dense foods you are consuming on a daily basis. I find that most people that try this approach are shocked by how many calories are actually in fast foods. And just having this level of awareness has a subconscious effect on the way in which they choose their food. This can create very powerful shifts in the emotions that we experience when we consume highly palatable foods, as now there is a sense of guilt associated when the consumer knows how many calories are really in fast food compared to a home-cooked healthy meal. Guilt can be an uncomfortable emotion to deal with, but in reality, we are motivated by both positive and negative emotions. So leverage these to your advantage. We tend to avoid actions that cause negative emotions and pursue actions that cause positive emotion. This is why having positive emotions associated with healthy eating and equally negative feelings around unhealthy eating habits will yield the best long-term results. Instead of looking at the process as a massive sacrifice of all the things you enjoy in life, such as refined sugar, processed carbs, and deep-fried fast foods, instead, start to focus on all the positive things you'll gain from making this small sacrifice. You'll feel better physically and mentally, you'll look better, you'll reduce your risk of all-cause mortality, and improve your overall quality of life. And at this point, you'll probably start to wonder why the fuck you let yourself live on autopilot for so long, making the wrong decisions and reinforcing negative habits, instead of just making the change and sticking to it. The other side of the weight loss equation is exercise. Exercise improves almost all facets of life, from cardiovascular health to overall health and well-being. Exercise should be an important part of your routine, no matter how busy you are. I've heard many wealthy people say that wealth without health is not truly wealth at all. So even the richest among us still put health at the forefront. Building a manageable and sustainable exercise routine should be an individualized process. Not everyone enjoys the same activities, so different people might need to take slightly different approaches to get to the same goal. The plus side is that it doesn't take long to realize how many physical activities are actually available to us in day-to-day life. This can be a little daunting at first, due to paralysis by analysis. The most important part is to not get overwhelmed and just start trying new things. Think you might enjoy climbing? Then give your local climbing gym a call and try it out. If you've always wanted to try martial arts, then turn to Google and sign up for some classes. If you already know you hate sport, then start pursuing more leisurely activities such as group walks and yoga. The point is that there are so many different approaches to implementing physical activity into our daily lives. There is never going to be a one-size-fits-all or cookie-cutter approach that you're looking for. That's why you need to find what works for you and stick with it over a long enough period of time to cause lasting change. Personally, I love tennis, Muay Thai, and calisthenics. So I've built my routine around these. It is now at the point where I feel genuinely upset if I have to miss any of these activities. I hear a lot of people argue that diet is everything when it comes to weight loss. While I agree that it is an extremely important aspect of the puzzle, I also argue that exercise plays an equally, if not more important role. Exercise improves sleep, which in turn improves mental health and cognitive function. This leads to less impulsive decisions around food and better lifestyle choices overall, causing a ripple effect that makes being healthy more intuitive and overall less of a chore. I think it's also important to mention sleep, as it is such a neglected part of our busy lives. Sleep has the incredible ability of improving almost every aspect of our existence. It makes breaking bad habits and implementing new good habits easier. Think of sleep as recharging your batteries each night so that you can perform at a high level on a consistent basis. If your batteries are drained, you're far more likely to run on autopilot and make terrible, impulsive decisions. Sleep optimizes our body and brain and should not be neglected when looking to improve your health. The reason I've only briefly touched on sleep is because I believe you should only focus on one variable at a time. Often people fail through trying to change way too many things at once and getting overwhelmed in the process. Instead, treat the process like a science experiment. Adjust one variable, give it time, assess, and then, if needed, adjust another variable. This ensures that you are actually progressing and keeps you accountable without feeling overwhelmed. Earlier in the video, we talked about the scary reality behind carrying too much body fat and the risk that this involves. In reality, your weight has no effect on my life at all. But hopefully through sharing my approach, it helps someone to start making small but positive changes. Taking control of my health and fitness has opened up so many avenues in life and has put me at a massive advantage when it comes to the opportunities I've been given. Get invited out by friends to hike up a mountain and you know you're good to go. Want to take up new hobbies and pursue life with more energy? All the groundwork is already done. So just apply the same principles you did to your fitness journey. Consistent action over a long enough period of time is the only way that long-lasting change is possible. The journey won't be easy, and you'll almost definitely slip up. Use these fuck-ups as lessons and get right back on track. Because the more consistent you are, the faster results will come. Accept that it's a lifestyle change and that you will stick to it for a long period of time. Identity tends to lag reality by years, so early days will always be the hardest and the time when you are most likely to slip up. Things do get easier as time goes on, and your habits become more deeply ingrained. You'll start to identify more with the current version of yourself rather than the person you were. And this is where lasting change is created. There's truly no better feeling than looking back on who you were a year ago and seeing how far you've come. You'll either suffer the consequences of staying the same or learn to love the process of suffering through the pain to achieve the things you want in life. Either way, you'll suffer. You just get to choose what you suffer for. And as always, drop any comments, questions, or abuse down below. Cheers.